Hello, my name is Lindsay Dragon, and I'm from the Autism Center at Misericordia University. And today we have a recording from last night's webinar, Wellness and Security at Home, featuring Ed Price, a vector security expert. So I will play a PowerPoint, which will have some of our contact information on it, as well as our next event, which is August 26th at 6 o'clock. And that is Sexuality and Autism for parents to watch and get some questions answered that are a little more difficult, probably than some of our regular behavioral questions that we typically have as parents to kids with autism. So I'm going to go ahead and share that PowerPoint now. Give me just one moment. Okay. All right, enjoy. Okay, so wanted to let you all know that I personally have been working with Ed for a little while, and he has some great information on how to help with keeping your home safe for your family, not only your child with autism, but the rest of the family as well when they're in the responsibility role of taking care of them. So that's also very helpful to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead and play his presentation. If you missed it last night, you can watch this at your own discretion. Okay. Here we go.
Hi, welcome to today's webinar. We have special guest presenter, Ed Price from Vector Security. Ed, thanks a lot for joining us today on our wellness webinar on how we could use smart technology for autism. Ed is a member of the SAFE organization, board member with SAFE for the past 3 years, and a member of the local community. And frequently you may see him out there in the community doing some community service as a member also of the Kingston Rotary Club. So Ed, welcome and thanks for joining us today. Looking forward to hearing about how you utilize smart technology for autism.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks for that great introduction. And hello, everybody. And I'd like to thank Lindsay Dragon for inviting me to participate. I'm very excited to see some of the questions come in and to get you guys educated a little bit more on Vector Security and the wellness program that we offer.
Great.
So that being said, let's get right into it.
Here we go.
We have our little bit of a history on ourselves. We're the top 5 security provider. We are owned by the Philadelphia Contribution Ship. We're based out of Wilkes-Barre. We're on 23 Casey Ave. So we're your local security provider. We own our own monitoring stations. We don't outsource. We own our own technicians. So we're Vector owned all the way around. Our company is redundant. Our communication centers are redundant. So when one goes down, the other 2 can pick up. And all of our guys are background tested and drug tested.
It's nice.
So next slide here, we have the smart home in a nutshell. So the key to the smart home is your hub, is your system. So we are able to repurpose our basic home security system to not only do security, but to benefit families with wellness notifications and reports. So right here, we're looking at the keypad, which is a touchscreen keypad, a motion detector, and the door and window contacts. So your keypad would be the hub. Everything learns into the keypad. You have a two-way voice on the keypad in case of emergency. A live operator can talk to you if a panic button was hit or the alarm went off. You can download pictures for screensavers. If you have anybody coming into the house, such as a babysitter, caretaker, plumber, electrician, you can give them codes, and not only will they be able to disarm the system, but it'll take a picture of them so that you know it's the appropriate person that's supposed to be there, and you know what time they got there. The motion detectors are used for security, but as I mentioned earlier, they could be repurposed for wellness. So examples of the motion detectors being repurposed is putting them in bedroom hallways, kitchen areas, basement areas, so that if there's any movement by your child or by a family member, the motion detector will send you a notification. It won't set the alarm off, so you don't have to worry about sirens going off and feel like a prisoner in your home, but it will let you know when somebody is up and about throughout the home. This comes in handy when you're meeting with physicians or therapists, and you want to get a graph report of the activities of your child. So for instance, if they're waking up at 4 in the morning and using the restroom or going into the kitchen, you could have these motion detectors strategically placed to document those events. The other thing in the pictures, the other devices are the door and window contacts. So the door and window contacts, how we use those for wellness is we obviously put them in the doors. We can use them as security points and wellness points. So if a bedroom door was to open up, you would get that notification immediately that that door was open up. Or if you have a child or a family member that's on the second floor and you want to know when the window is open up, we can put the contact on the window and you'll get that instant notification that that window is open up. We can also coordinate with the next slide, which is our lights, which is our light bulbs. So by using the smart light bulb, if a device is open, you can make a rule that that light bulb turns on. So for instance, if you don't want your child leaving the room, or you want to know when your child or family member is leaving the room, and the door opens up, not only do you get a notification, but your lights can come on in the bedroom. In case you're a heavy sleeper and you didn't hear the ding, the lights will come on. Also, it can be used to illuminate a pathway so there's no tripping or falling. So if somebody does get up in the middle of the night and it's a light device that's equivalent to a 60-watt light bulb, you can put this device in and it'll light the pathway to your destination inside the house. You can also, yes.
We have a question on the chat. Are you able to utilize smart lighting to help be aware in an instance of eloping?
Absolutely. So if your child or young adult is an eloper and a door contact is open up or a bedroom door is open up, you can have those lights turn on in the bedroom. You could have the lights turn on. You could have all the lights turned on, all your lamps turned on. We also have devices, and I don't have a slide on it now, but we have appliance modules as well that we can plug a device into this appliance module and it'll activate that device, whether it's a lamp or a radio, a TV. I've had people use them on TVs where it automatically shut the TV off when it was bedtime and cut the power. So yes, absolutely, the light bulbs can be used for eloping notifications. So on our next slide, we have our smart door locks. So I personally have this, and to be honest with you, I couldn't imagine my life without it. It's such a benefit. So you are able to not only arm and disarm your system through your cell phone, but you can unlock and lock your doors remotely from your cell phone or smart device. So if you have multiple members of your family, you have multiple children, and you're kind of juggling a lot of things around and you have your hands full, before you get out of the car, you can simply open your Vector Security phone app, hit unlock, it unlocks the doors, you can just walk right in. You can issue codes to family members, to therapists, to vendors, anybody that you would want to have access. You can give them an individual code so that you know who's coming in and out of the house. So if you have a therapist that has access to the house, they can put in their 4-digit code and it'll say so-and-so just walked in the door. These can also be used as a life safety device to be synced up with our smoke detectors, which I'll talk about later on. We have life safety devices that sync up with the door locks, that if a smoke detector went off, it'll unlock your doors for easy access to exit the property. You could also issue these codes on on certain days. So these people, or the people that you issue the codes to, don't have access to the property 7 days a week. You can say, this therapist is here Mondays and Thursdays, or this person is here Wednesdays and Fridays. So you can grant them access on those particular days during a particular time frame, which is a huge benefit.
Ed, another question on the chat, again, back to eloping here. Is there any way, if that door does get unlocked during certain times, that you're notified?
Absolutely. So you can have a notification set up where it's if it's not the usual time frame. So if your door is open past 10 o'clock, you will get this notification. So you can create a rule that says, I want to know if this door is open from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. I want notifications. I want an alarm. I want to know so that we can prevent any eloping from happening. Because I know there's precious seconds when a family member exits the home for you to go out and retrieve them.
Great. No more questions on the chat at this point, Ed.
Okay, so the next slide we have is the smart thermostat. So in the beginning, I wasn't sure about the smart thermostat with wellness. I talked to Lindsay, I had a great conversation with her. And, I told her some of the features. And one of the features that we both agreed on is that the smart thermostat has a lockout feature. So you can basically set it and forget it, and nobody can turn up the heat, turn down the heat, turn up the air, turn down the air. So it's controlled by you and your device. You can adjust these to your cell phone or through your smart device, and you can say, I don't want it to go past 71 degrees, or I don't want it to go below 65 degrees. Not only does this help with, family members jacking up the thermostat from 70 to 90, but it also helps you save money on your heating bill and your cooling bill. And the smart thermostat, in its name, is smart because it knows over time what your schedule is like. So it knows when to raise the heat, when to turn down the heat to save you money. So this is a very, very valuable device, not only to save you money, but to prevent coming home to a 95-degree home.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next slide we have, which I talked about a little early, or talked about 2 slides ago, is the monitored smoke detector. These are, in my opinion, these are a must in all homes. So our smoke detectors are monitored 24/7, meaning if any smoke activates the alarm, our monitoring center is calling you. If you do not pick up the phone, we dispatch the fire department because we take fire extremely seriously. We take security seriously, but fire, you have those precious seconds that it can go out of control, and we want to make sure that everybody is out of the house. And as I mentioned earlier, not only will the smoke detector have a siren go off and we can program it for the lights to come on as well, but it'll also unlock your door, so it grants you easy access outside the property.
Well, so it's all connected.
Everything's interconnected. So you have a smoke, if you have a smoke in the basement and it goes off, your smoke on the 3rd floor is going to go off. So they're all interconnected. So the next slide we have is voice control, which is now the new thing. Everybody's getting into this because it's very easy, very user-friendly. So our equipment can work through Amazon, through the Amazon Echo, which I know I have several family members that have this device and love it, absolutely love it. Not only doing the shopping list, but you can say, ask Vector Security to lock my doors, or ask Vector Security to arm my system. So this kind of gives you that ease of not having to multitask. You can simply say, Alexa, do this, and it will help you out with that request. So Amazon Echo, we do Google. The next video, or the next slide we have, is the camera. So we do inside cameras and exterior cameras. So the inside cameras are beneficial for when you have therapists, caretakers, teachers, piano lessons, art lessons, anything like that. And you want to give your child or family member their space. But you can look through the camera and kind of see the progress on how they're doing for yourself. So if there's a therapist and they're doing one-on-one, you don't want to sit in the room because you don't want that distraction. So you can sit in the other room, but simply on your smart device, pull up the camera and kind of view from another room of what's going on and how everything's going. You can also see patterns. So if you had interior cameras strategically placed within the house, you can kind of look at these videos. You can look at the cameras and say, oh, well, he was doing this one day, now he's doing this, and now he's on this. So you can kind of see progress or different changes in routine, and you can document those. The exterior cameras, the same. So when the kids or family members are playing in the yard, also for the front of the house, it comes very handy with eloping, that if a child or family member did exit the front door and started walking, with the camera, at least you can tell what direction they went in. So you're not guessing left, right, straight. Okay, I have the camera, I have the footage. It looks like they went right and they made a left. So now you know to what direction to go to retrieve that family member. Also with the cameras, they have an analytic programmed into the device where you can set it for people, animals, and cars, so that if a person did walk on your property, the cameras are smart enough to let you know and send you a notification and say, a person has this been detected on your front camera. And that's extremely helpful when you're multitasking throughout the house or you're working from home and you get one of these notifications. You can view the cameras from your smart device or from your keypad on the wall.
Ed, one question in the chat is, are you able to talk through those cameras to be able to provide maybe a little bit more independence?
So we have a camera, and Sean, I'm glad that this person asked that question. We have a camera that's called our wellness camera. So the wellness camera is a tower camera that has it's 180-degree angle on the camera, and it has a two-way voice with the call button. So if somebody was home and they wanted to get a hold of another family member that had the phone app, they can press the wellness camera button, the call button on top, and that'll send a text message to that family member saying somebody activated the wellness call button, and it sends it to you in text form, that you can simply go on the phone app and go live in the camera and communicate with that person.
Right. No more questions.
Okay, perfect. So the smart doorbell camera, same idea. We Right now we're doing hardwired doorbells. We just go off of your existing wiring, and the doorbell camera is a two-way voice camera that has motion. So if anybody approaches the entryway of your home or or the back of the house, wherever you have your doorbell, or if you have both doorbells back and front, it'll give you a notification that somebody's walking on your property. And then when the button is depressed, it'll send you a notification where you can hit the talk button and communicate with that person. So if you have a stranger danger policy where somebody's ringing the doorbell and your children or family members are not allowed to answer that door, they can communicate through the keypad or their smart device.
That's nice.
And finally, we have our garage door. So the garage door, it's a pretty neat device because it syncs up with your existing garage door. And basically, you can open and close your garage door anywhere in the world as long as there's cell service. You could be on vacation, and if you needed to let somebody in, instead of going through the hassle of having them go through the house, you can simply open the garage door and have them enter the house. If you're having any packages, any medicine delivered, anything vital delivered to the house, instead of having them leave it on the porch, you can simply leave a message and say call when package is at the house, and you can open the door and the garage door, have them put the package inside the door and close the door. It'll also give you a notification if you left the garage door open and you get within a mile away from your home. It'll send you a text message that says you left the property and your garage door is open. So that's also very beneficial too, especially if people are still at the home and you don't want that garage door open because it's the biggest door in the house, and that'll prevent eloping as well. So,
Ed, one question from the chat is, what devices do you have in place for caretakers that may be dealing with aggression? Is there anything that you have for personal safety?
So for personal safety, we do a medical pendant or an emergency pendant. So we have pendants that are push button, which will get the first responders to your home, and that can also coordinate with the keypad on a two-way voice. And we also have a fall pendant that if you have a family member that possibly has seizures or a medical condition, and if they fall, it'll register that fall, and it will activate that device and get the first responders to your home.
Great. One last question from the chat. Ed, do you need to have security with this?
No, you don't need to have security. Security is always a plus, but you can do the wellness system just as a wellness system. If you wanted to add security devices, you can definitely do that as well.
All right. Kathy, thank you for your question. Great question. No more questions that we have in the chat, Ed.
Oh, great. Well, this is the wellness solution that we've been very successful in installing and kind of putting in homes throughout the valley. If anybody has any questions, they can contact Lindsay Dragon, or you can contact me directly at Price at Vector Security, and my number is 570-550-5755. And Lindsay and the Autism Center has my information as well. So I appreciate you guys having me here tonight. Thank you so much for spending the time with me, and everybody be safe.
All right, wonderful. Ed has always been super fantastic with helping me figure out solutions for my own home. I wanted to throw out a few more tidbits that were part of the discussion group that did not get recorded from last night. So starting off, COVID has kept a lot of families at home since March, obviously, but those families, including my own, were not used to being home so often. So a lot of issues that you never realized were an issue, now that the kids are home so much, have recently become one and will continue to be so, depending on what happens this fall. So with COVID, if parents are both at work and you have either another family member or an older or younger sibling in charge of those individuals that you have with autism, checking the cameras and getting those notifications on your phone as to when things are happening is another step towards peace of mind and less stress. So that is a very good pro for something along those lines, as well as kids are making their lunches. Maybe, they don't know really how to use the stove very well, and they're trying something new, as we encourage them to do. And, the fire alarm goes off. And so it's just a really good system to have in place. And also for those teenagers who you may feel comfortable leaving them at home, this gives you that little bit more, again, peace of mind, giving them a little independence. But again, you would still know when certain things are happening, if somebody had come over, whether you had given permission or not. That's something that, any door or window that opens, as well as that video surveillance is not the word I would like to use, monitoring. So it's just something that's nice to have if you can. Most people do have a smartphone of one way, shape, or form these days. So having that app is very handy, especially if you do know you're going to have to be away from the home for a little bit. So a babysitter is also something that we've been able to use our surveillance or monitoring camera for. I can't even get the words right. So when we would go out to dinner once in a blue moon with the babysitter here, we would check on them through the camera, and we wouldn't necessarily have to make a phone call when we're in the middle of dinner to see if they're following the schedule, if they got their baths or not. We could see if they were in their bedrooms already, or if they were staying up late watching TV. Nothing crazy, but just a nice peace of mind. And then the babysitter doesn't feel like you're calling all the time and checking up on them as well. The thermostat was something I told Ed that we did need to keep in, simply because my own family, my 6-year-old would hit that button and keep it going. And so we purchased that big box that you install the four screws, and then there's a lock on it. And it's annoying. And sometimes you feel like, why do I have to do this in my own home? And as Ed said, you are not a prisoner in your own home. So some of these little devices are just a modern way of taking some things that already exist, but are definitely a little more outdated, and can make you feel like you're at home and not in, a more comfortable setting, just not a more, institutional feeling, which is what I felt like sometimes when we would get these big industrial things here. Another thing with the fire alarms, one thing that we did do in June was a social story on doing a fire drill at home. And this is something I had called Ed, and we discussed turning off the alarm. And you can do that through your phone, so that they don't contact the first responders. And you practice a fire drill. You set the alarm off, and you set a designated area for your family to go to during an emergency, and then you practice. We practiced a few times without the alarm, and then we did the alarm with 3 times within an hour. So he didn't know when it was going off, and as soon as he thought it was all over, we would turn it on again. But we did realize that instead of opening the door, he will put his hands over his ears, and then he didn't want to take them off to open the door. So that was something that we learned from some of these exercises. But it's, every time you turn around, you realize something else is something that you need to work on, and it can get a little daunting. So a lot of these things are really helpful to take that away. The data collection. So say your child is lethargic at school and irritable, and they're just so tired, and the first response is, their parents let them stay up too late or something. That's not normally the case. A lot of individuals have trouble sleeping, and a lot of individuals with autism, it's a very common issue to have. So one thing that I know this program offers is a monitor that goes underneath the sheet of the bed. So you could see if your kid was getting up several times in the night and either playing in their own room or getting up to go, play on their electronics, or, just not sleeping. That's a big indicator for a lot of behaviors that people will see all the time. And that data, you can graph it And then you have your own data to hand over to those doctors at the evaluations or the school, you know, when you're going through IEPs or setting up an ABA plan through your BCBA. These are just tools that you can use if you choose to. And yes, they do cost a little bit of money on a monthly basis. And then you do have to purchase the actual pieces. So one thing that our family did was to offset that cost was, you know, we don't need any more toys because, you know, the overstimulation. You know, we don't go to a ton of parks, especially this year. So one thing that we did was we said, you know, instead of spending X amount of dollars on a toy that they're not even going to play with, they're going to play with the box. You know, you could, you know, $40 would cover a camera, or it would cover, you know, the contacts for all the windows. And that was a different way to go about, you know, offsetting some of the costs. And I was really skeptical from a monthly perspective, and I was shocked at how inexpensive some of these programs are. So it's definitely worth looking into. And when people ask me what the costs are of having a child with autism, and you'd be surprised how often I get that question, I always lump in the security costs because it is a matter of life and death. I have ran upstairs when I heard his window open, as well as the back door before we had a fence. You know, we were surrounded by woods. I would have never found him. So it was definitely a peace of mind and worth taking for our family, and every family is different. But we don't have our system to keep people out. We have our system to help us keep our own family safe from leaving the house. And in that respect, you know, those smart locks, we don't have those. And I didn't really know that they had that for homes. And that's something we're going to consider, because one of the alternatives is the key entry and exit where it's locked on both sides like a deadbolt would be, and you have to have the key to open it. And that's just a really dangerous situation for, you know, what if you're not the person who has the key, or the person who is in an emergency is the only one who has it. So these are things that we're pretty thankful that Ed is able to share with us, and I hope that some of you are able to benefit from it as well. Ed's information was at the end of his presentation, but it's edprice@vectorsecurity.com. And again, my name is Lindsay Dragon, and I'm the administrative assistant at the Autism Center at Misericordia University. And you can email us at autism@misericordia.edu. And our next event is Wednesday, August 26th at 6 o'clock, and it is the Sexuality and Autism for Parents to attend and ask questions that might be difficult asking in a general setting. So with, you know, somebody who's extremely qualified, which is a rare case in its own. So if you have any questions, again, our phone number is 570-674-8200, and we hope you have a wonderful day. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can see all of our past trainings, webinars, any resources, all the social stories that we did in June, May as well. So subscribe and like our stuff, and let us know if there's something out there that you would like us to cover. Okay, thanks. Bye.